All right. So good day, everyone. Welcome back to this wonderful section of this ongoing project of the PricePrecision app. So currently, all the front-end implementation of this app has been completed um, to some reasonable extent where we can be able to consume the API endpoints from the backend. So as you can see, we have just two main directories of this particular project, the client side and the server side, which basically is the front end and the back end. So the back end implementation has been done. You might want to see the previous section on our YouTube channel of how these API were being built or developed. Okay, so in this section, all we'll just be doing is just to consume this API endpoint. Okay, let me just show you the route. So we have the user route just to sign up and to log in, and also for the product we have to create, to fetch, to to get all products, to get a particular product using the order number and the likes of update and then delete. So going back to the client side, we have the front end. So I'm just going to start up this and then go live to show you how this looks like. For now, this is just really a rough work, just to all we want to show you is just the functionality of the app, which this will still be modified later on. So currently we have the sign up and this sign in button. Currently you won't be able to do anything on this PricePrecision app, except maybe you have an account. All right, if you already have an account, you can just sign in with your email and password. If you don't have an account, you need to to sign up with all this information, and all these have been done on the back end. So basically what you're going to do is, when the user sign up here, an HTTP request is sent to the server side, where it's being processed, and it's been all this form data is being collected and stored in a database. Yeah, so and then a response is being sent back from the server side back to the client, that okay, probably your request was successful or your request was not successful, based on the kind of response we have on the back end. So let me just show you briefly what you have on the back end for that particular controller that is for that. So basically this is how we create. We collect the first name, last name, just like you see on the form. Then if all this is successful, all we just return is just what user created successfully. Then together with the token that is just going to uniquely identify that authorize and authenticate that user, in case the user want to like do any other thing, that's access any other page on our app. So let's just go right back to coding. So for consuming API, okay, I'm going to be using the fetch approach, that's using fetch. Okay, so let's go back to the client side. So the entry file is this index.html. Inside the index.html we have the sign up form, okay, and then we have the sign in form. All right, so all we just have to do is to make use of all these forms and then use it to fetch, to send data to the backend using fetch basically. So if I should go to the script that was written for this particular file, that's the what's the name of the script? Okay, yeah, we have a script here, that's the index.js. so in this script, oh yeah, actually they've really done some things. Okay, these are the event list now, shouldn't be here, so I'm just going to comment this one out. So basically, first of all, we are going to get each of those forms. All right, actually they've already gotten the form here. I think that's it here. Or let me just go back to the index.html, because this one are just a form container. I want the form itself so that I can use a method or a function called form data, so I can use it to retrieve all the data from each form. So from here we have a div for this is just a form container. Okay, you can see this is a div. this is for the form container, but the form itself is this. Okay, so we are going to target what the ID of the what of the form of each of those forms. So the first one is the sign up dash form. Okay, and then the second one is what sign in dash form. So let's go. I don't think I have anything like that here. All right, sweet. So I'm just going to say I'm going to declare a variable and just get that on document. All right, so let's call this const. Let's call it yeah, since we have sign up button, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's just call it sign up form is equal to, so I'm going to be using document dot get element by ID. And what's the ID of this guy? Sorry about that. The ID is sign up dash form. All right, so I'm just going to copy it. Since I'm already using get element by ID, just wrap it in quote and then this guy sign up dash form. Then I'm going to, since I'm going to be working with the signing as well, so let me just do for the signing. So const sign in form is equal to document.get element by ID and sign in. So I've been able to target what each of those forms. Okay, this is for the sign up form and this is for the sign in form. So now I can add any kind of what listener to this. And for this form, if you take a look at this form now, you can see that we have a button of type submit. So we are going to make an event called on this on this particular button that is inside what this sign up form. So when you click on submit, some kind of operation will be done. Okay, so let's just do a quick check and see whether this what we actually did here is working. So I'm just going to take the sign up form, sorry, not signing, sign up form. I'll have to actually fill all those information, but anyways, sign up form dot add event listener. So what kind of event do you want to listen to? We want to listen to the what, to the submit event. That's what the button is doing, is actually doing a submit event. So for now, if we click on submit, okay, let's just create a function and then let's have our function do, let's just have the function do something like, what's happening here? Something seems to be happening here. Oh, sorry, I'm using our function. I'm missing this guy. All right, sorry about that. So let's just have, when we click on submit, okay, when we click on that button that is performing a submit operation, okay, we are going to, let's just, for now, let's just console.log hello world. All right, so in essence, since we are adding an event, when we submit this particular sign up form, it's going to what, to print hello world on our console. So let's just test this and see if it's working before we go ahead and what, implement the fetch method or function to what, to make an API call to the backend. So I'm just going to open up this guy, inspect mode. So this is my console. So when I click on the sign up button, for now, okay, this is the submit button. If I click on this, I will have to fill all this data because on the front end they actually what make all this what input field what's required. So without actually having all these guys, I won't be able to actually do everything. Let me just fill it with just something random. Okay, yeah. If I should click on submit, okay, you can see on our console, whoa, this thing refresh. No, we are not supposed to refresh. Okay, something seems to be wrong. Okay, I think I will need to do something here. Let me just put something like E for event and try to prevent the default there's E dot prevent default. So there's always a default function on every button. That means when you submit a particular button, it's just going to refresh and then reload the page. So I'm trying to prevent the existing logic or functionality on this on this submit button, so we'll be able to see what we want to see here, instead of it just performing what it's usually performed by default. This can actually be anything. Okay, I'm using just that's what the event on this the default event on this submit button. I'm just preventing it. All right, so let's go back. I'm just gonna refresh again. Let's see. The sign up actually, the hello world actually appeared, but we were not able to actually see it because the page was reloaded after it got submitted. So let me just put a random password, put a random text, and then submit. Okay, sweet. So we can see that we have the hello world. Okay, so we are good to go. That means now we've been able to target this submit button of the sign up form. All right, so now we can now make an API call that's using fetch. We can now consume our API. The endpoint for this was to submit, to sign up rather. That's to create a user. So I'm just going to comment this console.log out. I'm going to make this an async function because I want to use a try catch. I don't want to use a promise.then a callback. I want to use a try catch method or statement. So the first thing I want to do is to first I'm first going to do. Okay, I think I should be putting some comments here. So what I want to do is to get sorry, I hope you can see my screen and it's not okay. Let me just zoom in a little bit. All right, so I don't actually need this guy here. All right, sweet. So the first thing I want to do is to get the first thing I want to do is to get the form data. That's form data. All right, so how am I going to get that? I'm going to use this form data function on this on this particular event that I'm listening to. So I'm going to declare a variable called const form data. I can actually use the same word. Form data is going to be equal to new form data. There is actually a function. It's just an easier way to you can actually read more on this particular function. It provides a way to easily construct a set of key value pair based on that's the key value pair in the sense of now is from this our from this our form. Now the key value pair will be the input type, and then the value. The key will be the type of the input, and then the value will be the key. Okay, so that's the key value pair anyway. So then I'm going to just call this for now, and then I'm going to get the objects of all these. That's what I want to get the form data objects, because that's what I'm going to be sending to the backend. All right, so I'm going to use, since this is going to give me an object, or let's just do something. Okay, let's okay, since the form that I want to get it from this, so I'm just going to use event.target, because I'm just using is returning the object at which this event has been is listening to. This is a submit. Is just going to extract the form data from this. So let's see what the form data actually looks like. So before we go on, so it's not like I'm performing on magic here. So let's have console.log form data. Okay, I hope this works. So let's go back. Let's refresh this page. To sign up, let me just put my random, my mail, and the password. Okay, let me just put something reasonable. So since we are going description, this is a demo. Okay, so submit. So you can see that it returned an object for us. Okay, and the object has so many things. That's this append, we have the delete. Okay, what we're actually looking for is the entries. Okay, currently now it's saying there are no entries. The length is 0. I don't quite know why the length is 0. Color, blah 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 blah. Just Give me a minute. Right. Something seems to be wrong. Do you know what? Let me convert it to an object. Okay, so let's go back here. So I'm going to use, okay, let me just declare another variable here. Let me call it form data object. All right. I'm going to use is equal to, I'm going to use this object method. That's the functionality for objects. Then I'm going to use a method in the object function called I think form entries. So I want to get the entries of of this particular form data. So I'm going to do it as form data dot entries. That means I want to get what was being entered into the entries of of this form data in form of of an object. Or basically, let me just comment this out first. Let me just do form data dot entries, then invoke it because it's a function actually. All right, so let's do this again. And, mail password, and this is a demo. Submit. I don't quite get why this is not actually showing all this data, but hold on, let me convert it to an object, so I can just print the form data object. All right, so I'm constructing an object from these entries. Okay, so let's go back because that's what we are going to be sending, is this data that we're going to be sending to the backend. If you are not able to get this form data, we can't. There's actually another way. Instead of using the form data, or another way is just to target it, just is to get the document of each of these inputs and then target the values. That's going to be a lot of stress anyway. So instead of that, why not just use the form data function that is going to help us out to just fetch the values. Okay, this is a demo. If this doesn't work, then okay. Oh, there's actually an error. No wonder it's not working. From entries. I don't know where this error is coming from. Okay. It's telling me that function is not iterable. Cannot read. You cannot iterate through all this and get the form data. Something seems to be wrong. Returns the object to which then this. Okay, do you know what? Let's just do it let's do this traditional way, not to waste too much of our time. I'm going to figure out what that issue is, and this is going to be a long way because we have so many input field to target in our index.html. So let me just go back. That means we are going to target each of these input field, okay, and get the values. That's going to be a lot of stress, but let's do it the traditional way. Or does anybody here knows how to use the form data? I think probably I'm missing something out. I can't seem to figure it out here. Anybody familiar with how to use the form data? Anybody? Am I still on the call? Yeah. Okay. We're just going to move on. Anyway, so let's do this the traditional way. Okay. Okay. So I'm still going to get the form data, but here I'm just going to get all these input fields. That's where the first name. Oh wow. That's the, oh sorry, typed something here, but that's what is preventing it to go. So I'm going to get the first name, the last name, the gender, the phone number, email, password, blah 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 blah. All right, so let's go. We are going to be navigating between these form fields and the. So now we are going to just, okay, all of them have they don't have ID. Wow, this is serious. I need each of these input fields to have ID. I don't know why they didn't put ID for this. So let's just quickly update something here. I don't know if anybody knows how to use the form data. Please let me know instead of all this. So I'm just going to set ID of this guy. This is going to be first name. Okay. Then this is going to be ID of last name, and this is going to be, this is for gender, ID of gender, and this is going to be, sorry, okay, just take it back. So ID of phone number, I'm just say ID phone. So I'll just press myself. This is going to be ID of email, and this is going to be ID of password. I don't know why these guys were not put initially. Then this is going to be ID of business name. So let me just say business name, and we have the description. Yep, this is going to be ID of description, and this is going to be what is this, business address, ID of what, business address. All right, so sweet. So now we have all the form with their IDs. So I'm just going to get those documents. So let's start. So the first one I want to get is first name. I'm going to be using this camel case. I don't really like this. First name input. All right, first name input is going to be document.get element by ID. What's the ID of that guy? I think I use first name. Let me just quickly confirm so I'm not doing the wrong thing here. Oh, it's even just first name. Why did I know this? Okay, so let's go back. So we have our first name. The next one is const last name input. Last name input is going to be document.get element by ID last name. I think the next one is gender, phone number, email. So gender, phone, email. So const gender input is going to be this. Const phone input, phone number input is going to be this. Then const email input is going to be this. I'm not, in case you are wondering how I'm typing, I'm not actually typing pretty fast. I'm using an extension in VS Code called Tab9 to help me to complete some part of my code. I'm sure most of you know about, some people already know about Copilot. It's just an AI that helps you to generate codes based on what you want to do. Like now, since I've already started with this, okay, it's able to tell me that, oh, it's able to make suggestion that, oh, this is what I want to do next. But most of the time it's not always correct, but you just have to be careful with the way you use it. So password input, and what's the next thing? Business name. Okay, for this one I have const business how did I spell business name input is going to be this business name. Okay, then the next one is business address. Okay, description of the business address. You can see how stressful this is. Instead, if I was able to use this form data, it will have what, save me all the stress of just getting each of those or input one after the other. So const what did I say the next one was? Okay, description input. So it's going to be this, and then finally we have the business address. Okay, business address, come on, answer me now. Business address input is going to be this. Sweet. Hope that's the name I gave the ID. Why am I giving the ID different? Okay, let me just change the way I wrote this ID here. Okay. Okay, sweet. So we can see that what we have all the words, all the we've targeted all these what all the input fields. So it's now to get what the values from there. So now I'm just going to do, so what I wanted to do here was with the help of this form data is just going to split the fields, the form input into a key value pair. So the key will be the name of that form, the name of that input, then the value will be the value that is passed to it. As simple as that. But here I'm just going to manually actually do it. So I'm just manually doing it here. So I'm just going to create an object called data. Okay, let me just call it form data. Okay. Let me call it the same form data I wanted to use before. So I'm just going to pass in this. So the object that I actually need to actually send to the backend will be the first name. Now you need to be careful the way it is on the backend. If you go to the backend, what it is expecting is first underscore name, last underscore name, gender. These are the key that is, the key for the key that is expecting. You cannot send the value of first name as first name in camel case, because the backend is going to reject it. Okay, so let's go back here. So what I was saying in essence is the way it is on the backend, the way the backend is collecting it is the way we are going to send it. Okay, so how does the backend want to collect this? This first name is by first underscore name is going to be this. That's the first name input. Now this is just the input. What I just need is just the value of that field. Okay, sorry about that. So value. Then the next one, okay, comma, the next one is going to be last underscore name, will be last name input dot value. So let me just bring up my, where is that a controller again, then gender, phone, blah 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 blah. Yes, sweet. So the next one is going to be gender, just gender, no gender inputs. It's going to be gender input dot value. There should be a comma here since I'm going to be. Then the next one is just going to be phone, which is going to be phone input dot value. Then the next one is going to be email. Sorry about that. So email, oh shoot, email input dot value. Then we have the password. That's the password input dot value. Then what's the next one? Business name. So we have the business name like this. This is how the backend wants to collect it. So I'm just going to write it in this form. So business name dot value, and description, and down the business address. Is there any question so far? I hope I'm not performing magic here. Business address, we have this. I've not actually used this, so let's just now console.log this form data and see whether we actually we are actually on the right track. So I'm just going to say console.log form data. Okay, sweet. So we should have an object with this key value pair of first name and all the inputs that we've actually passed there. Oh, I'm missing something. Yes, this should be phone number, not just phone number inputs here. Sweet. So what we manually did here is what this form data was supposed to do for me, but I don't know why it's not working. I'll figure it out later. I just don't want to waste too much of our time here. So let's go back to this guy here, and then let's test it and to make sure that it is working. If this is working well, what we are going to be seeing on our console will be an object in form of what the key value pair of what first name to be this value, last name to be this value, and the likes of them. So I'm just going to be using password as password, and description, this is a demo, and let's submit. Oh sweet, we are on the right track. So as you can see, this guy actually arranged it in alphabetical order, so we can see the business address, just what we have it here, business name, the description, the email, first name, gender, blah blah blah. This is what form data was actually supposed to do for me, but hey, we are on the right track. So now we've been able to get what the form data. That's what we're actually doing here. Let me remove all this guy here. Okay, we've been able to get what the form data. That's what I actually did here. So let me comment this guy out. So the next step now is to make the fetch request to the backend API. So we need the endpoint. All right. So now, since I'm using an async function, okay, I'm going to be using this try catch on statement so that it's able to what if there's any error, it's going to be caught for me in this catch statement. So if there's any error, I just want to console.log the error. All right, you can decide to make it error or error.message, or let me just use something here. So error, sorry about that. What's my typing? Error is this. Okay, yeah, error is this. So now let's use. So what I want to do inside there is to make what did I say? Okay, make the fetch request to the server, to the server or backend API to register user. So I'm typing to register user. Okay, so all you just have to do is to now, since I'm using a try catch, okay, see, and I'm going to actually there's actually different ways to actually do it. If you don't want to use this async method, you can use the dot then, the dot catch, and the likes of the methods. So I'm just going to, since this fetch is a request to the backend, definitely there will be a response. So I'm just going to be saying, okay, let's just call this what cons response is equal to, so I'm going to be using the await function. Since I'm using an async, I'm going to use an asynchronous. That means wait for this. You can go ahead and do every other thing that you're doing, but you have to come back until when this guy is finished. You have to come back and finish up this functionality or this implementation that I'm about to do here. So I'm just going to call the fetch method. Okay, so fetch, we actually take is going to take the URL, that's the endpoint at which you want to send these requests. So the endpoint I want to send these requests, okay, currently our site is being hosted locally. All right, so I'm just going to, where is that my, we did not actually host it remotely, so I'm just going to where are you okay, yeah, this is you. So this is actually what the endpoint / create, but we have a base URL that we actually have here. So it's going to be using this /user / create, and this is the base URL here. So let me just start up this server so you can see. So I'm just going to cd into server side, then npm dev. Okay, so our server is listing on this particular port. This is the base URL of our API. So I'm just going to copy that. So sorry, let me go back to my index.js. So let me just create, okay, just before this guy, let me create the base URL here. Let me just call this const URL. Okay, let me just call it URL, or let me call it the base URL, whichever way base URL is equal to this guy here. All right, so let me put a slash here. Okay, since this is just for, okay, I think I can close this, so I'll leave that server running. So when we just make the request, it's just going to send it to what, to this particular what host, that is this base URL that is listening on. But the base URL is not actually complete. So this is just the base URL, but we have an endpoint attached. We have a sub, I think they call it subdomain or something. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So let me go back, sorry. So we have before what is going to send. So since we are sending endpoint to the, we are sending the request to the user endpoint. So we have these words, this mounted route that is already using slash user, and that particular endpoint to create a user. If you go to the route now, is what is slash create. So definitely for this, our user is going to be something like slash user slash create. I think we already tested all of this this endpoint on Postman, where we actually use this slash user slash create for this, what, for this to create this, for the endpoint to create our user. So I'm just going to go back here and then continue what we're doing. So fetch, so it has to be a string. So since I already have the word, the base URL, I'm going to be using this string literal, because I want to concatenate the base URL from with what, with the endpoint of what, with the route of this, well, with the route to what to create. So I'm just going to use to target that what, the base URL, sorry about that, base URL, then followed by slash user slash create. Okay, sweet. Then now, then after you pass in what your, the URL where you want to what, to send that what request, then the next thing is just going to take an object. So this object contains what, the method. It contains method, that's it, this is just what, this is just the request details. So the request object, rather the request object, we can contain the method, the header, the body, and the likes of them. This request actually contains, an API request contains a lot of what, a lot of objects. So we are going to specify what, the method of this request. So the method is what, this is a post request, right? All right, then this, we need to specify what, the header type. Okay, now this header, okay, the content type of this header is what, is a JSON format. If we should go back to this to our entry file, we made our app to use this middleware, this JSON middleware. That means it can only what, we can only pass JSON objects. So this our API is only collecting what, JSON objects. It's not collecting a string or any other thing apart from what, JSON object. So JSON object is just like a regular object, but you have to, the difference is, instead of this, both the key and the value are what are, you have to signify them as what, are strings. All right, so inside here I'm just going to say that what, the content type, so the content type is going to be application slash what, JSON. That means using what, the JSON content type as what, the header. Then the next thing I want to specify, definitely this one as a body, right? And the body, no, this is just a regular object. Okay, my form data is just an object. Okay, but I need to what, to stringify it to be in form of what, a JSON object. So I'm just going to pass in what, JSON.stringify, and collect the what, the form data. You know what, let me just, okay, let's do something so that I can actually see what. So I'm just going to comment this out so it doesn't seem like I'm doing some magic. So let's console.log the form data at it now. Then let's console.log another one. Okay, let me just put it, I can actually put it together. Let's console.log JSON.stringified form data, so you can actually see the difference between the regular object and the JSON object. So let's go here and refresh. So let me just sign up again and give this guy mail, password. Okay, let me just go, just type some random thing. Blah 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 blah. Sorry. So we can see, can you see the difference? This is the first one. This is the form data. This is just an object, but this is a JSON. You can see that what both the key and the value, they are both what stringified. That this is how what a JSON what object looks like. All right. So let's go ahead. So let me just undo some things here so I can just go back to where I was before. Yeah, sweet. So I think this is about all. Yeah, this is everything I need to do. So I've saved this fetch request inside a variable called what response. Okay, so the kind of response that is inside here will be what in a JSON format. Okay, what is being sent, what is being returned is in form of what JSON. So now how do I collect that? So I'm just going to declare another variable and say const data, the data that is going to be returned. So I'm going to also use an await so that it can actually wait for it. So I'm just going to be returning response.what.json. Okay. Okay. So for now, let's console.log what the data that is going to be returned for us. Okay, let's console.log the data. So if this is correct, it's going to send this request to the backend, blah 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 blah. Then the backend is going to send some data. So the data that we're expecting to see is this what is being returned when we send. So what is being returned, what we are just collecting is just this guy message and the token that was generated for that particular user. So let's go on. Sorry, this is gonna take a while. I'm taking my time to explain some things here, so I just don't want to be coding and then you guys following. No. So description, this is a demo. Do you know what, we are using MySQL, right? So let me just like go to MySQL here. So sudo, let me open the MySQL for you so we can make sure that what this user is not actually there. So password, oh, got my password. Are you serious? Okay, yeah, that's it. Then my SQL password. Okay, sweet. So let's show databases. Then okay, this is our PricePrecision on database. So I'm just going to use that guy. Then I'm going to show tables. I think I already have all the tables here. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So let's select everything from this user info. So select everything from this guy here. Okay, sweet. So okay, I created a dummy for John Doe, blah 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 blah. This is the email. Okay, so this is just the only data we have in our database. Why is what's happening? Oh, okay, sorry about that. So let's go and send this for now. Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, okay. I know where this is wrong. Okay. So there is something, there's a middleware that if you're trying to if you're if you're if you're creating a RESTful API, what you just do is just you are trying to create your backend separate and the front end separate. So you need to actually make use of a middleware called course. Okay, called course or something like that. Yeah, this is it here. I think, yeah, course. So there's this course policy that is always blocked when you're trying to make a request from one domain to another domain. You are trying to do I don't know, I've really forgotten the word, but the course middleware will allow you to send a request to a domain from another domain. You can see the words, this is the domain where I want to send request to is having a different port. I want to send it to what, so it's failing because we are trying to send a request from one domain to another domain. They are not on the same on the same domain. If they were on the same domain, this will have actually gone. Yeah. So I'm going to make use of that middleware inside my app. So I'm just going to I need to stop the server so that I can install the course. So npm install course. Then here I'm going to import course from course. Sweet. Then I'm going to just before I do anything, so I'm just going to make my app to use I'm just going to make it to use the course middleware. That's it. It's going to fix that error that we're getting. So let me restart my server. Okay, server started. Let's go back and test this guy. We shouldn't get that issue anymore. Am I still on this call? Are you guys following? I hope I'm not. Okay, so gender, male, password. This is what's your problem? This is a demo. Okay, so yeah, so we have the message user created successfully. Then what the token, that means what's our fetch call that we actually did there is working. So if we should go back to our database now, if I should try to, let me just select everything from user, I should see that details. You can see the detail here as number 4. Okay, let me just shrink this a little bit. So yeah, we can see that we now have my details here. Okay, sweet. So now we've successfully make an API call to the backend for creating of user. But we are not done yet. That's just one part. So we need to, so when the user actually sign up, the user just sign up, but we did not actually do anything here. We did not prompt that okay, sign up successful or something. But for now, not to waste too much of our time, I'm just going to make this. If the registration was successful, I'm just going to redirect this this page to the home page of the product, so the user can then start creating products and doing all sort of things. Okay, but there are some other things, when you click on submit or something or sign up, this guy is going to change. Then you probably are going to get a toss at the top corner here that says that user created successfully. Then it's now going to, probably after like 2 seconds, then it's going to load you to the next page. That means you have been authorized to use you have been authorized to the next page. So for now, I'm just going to do something real quick. So let's go back here. So now we know that this guy is actually returning a data, and the data that is returning contains message and token. So I'm just going to make use of the message. Okay, so I'm just going to say that if data dot message if data dot message is equal to what's the message that we're having here. Okay, user created successfully. I want it to do something for me, right? So what do I want it to do for me here? It's just going to sorry, excuse me. I want it to load this product page. That's this product page. That's product.html. So what I want to do, let me just set a timeout. Okay, let me set a timeout to do something for me, and I'm going to set after 2 seconds. Yeah, that's 2000 milliseconds is on 2 seconds. Okay, I want it to actually okay, window.location. I want it to load this HTML for me. window.location. I've really forgotten. I think, yeah, it should be this. Window.location.html is equal to this guy. So I'm just going to target. Okay, I'm going to go outside a step, and I'm going to target. I think this my product.html is actually outside. So product.html. Yeah. Do I really need to put this guy? Window location, yeah, is equal to, yeah, I don't really need to put the, yeah. Okay, I think this is how it goes. But before then, I want to so if data.message, I want it to like I want it to actually show something that's going to signify that what, okay, you know what, let's just do it here. When we click on the submit, on that submit button, yeah, I want it to do something for me. I want it to, let me target the what, that submit button itself. Let's go back here. I'm just going to change the text of this submit to loading or something, so that the user can know that, oh, this thing is actually loading before it actually loads. That's what. There are other implementation that you can actually do. So I'm just going to give this an ID. Let me just give this an ID of sign up. Okay, let me just give it register. I don't want to stress myself, sorry. So I'm just going to say const register button. Let me just call it register button. Yeah, I'm just going to target this. Then I'm going to do register dot inner HTML to be equal to loading. This is actually fun. So when the user just click on this, it's just going to change the text to from submit to loading. So the user will not. Then you can actually do something else. You can actually remove the click event so that the user will not just be what, clicking it multiple times and sending the request multiple times. Okay, so you just need to send it once. Okay, the front end, they're actually supposed to change the cursor, the pointer of this to cursor and the likes of them and stuff like that, but let's just leave that one for now. So where were we? Okay, so I'm going to, if I should actually send this request again, I'm going to see some kind of message that says, okay, let me just put an else statement here. If this guy is this, is going to do this, else. Okay, let me just put it any other kind of message that is what, it wasn't what successful, else I just want to alert I just want to send alert of data.message. Yeah, there's actually a message. So if the message is this, okay, it's going to do this. Else, if the message is not do this, if not is not this, that means if the user was not created successfully, it's just going to alert that particular message to the user that says probably the email address have been used before. Let's just see what it is. Okay, we are going to say it here. So I'm going to use the same email address so that we can actually see, we actually set that what no two individuals with the same email can actually what have an account on this our app. So let me submit. So you can see that what user with this email already what exists. Okay, when they click on okay, nothing happens. So they can just what, you can make it that what is going to target where the issue is, or just reload the page or something. So I'm just going to use another email address so we can actually see this guy. So since the email address is just so, oh, this thing has actually changed to loading. You can see that what the effect is changed to loading here. So I need to actually make some corrections here. So I actually changed this to loading, but I need to change it back. Okay, at this point when they click on this, I need to what, to change it back to submit. So I'm just going to do register.button.inner HTML back to the original what position, which was submit. I think, yeah, the submit that was there before. So let's do this again. register, blah 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 blah, mail, blah 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 blah, password, use some random thing, and use some random thing, submit. So you can see user with this email already. So now with the submit button is back. Okay, so it doesn't really make sense just to be seen loading. So let me change this to another email address, then click on submit. You can see loading, then it's now loaded towards to this, but now it's saying cannot get this particular page. Why can't you get this particular page? There's something wrong. That's the name of this guy now, products.html. Or is he inside somewhere? No, it's not. It's actually outside. Oh, sorry, he's on the same directory. My bad. He's on the same directory, yeah, as the what? As the index.html. So that was my bad. Sorry about that. So let's do this again. So I'm just going to go back, refresh. I need to use another email address so I won't get that same pop-up. So let me just put another one here. So let's send this, submit, loading. Yeah, voila, we're back. But for now, there shouldn't be any kind of product for, because it's the user that is supposed to actually create a product. Okay, so we can see that this thing is working. So let me just say this, guys, I can use it in the sign up. So let's go to the sign in. Our registering, we've successfully completed we've made a fetch request to the create endpoint, and then we've gotten the data just to validate the user. I'm still going to do some other things, but let's just continue because before you can actually create a product, you need to be a registered user. So currently, I think this particular point here should be showing this particular aspect should be showing your initial. I can't really remember. It should be showing your initial. That's what your initial. That's the first name, the first alphabet of your first name, then followed by the first alphabet of your last name as well. So okay, so let's move to this is for the sign up. So let's go to the sign in. It's still like the same thing. All right, so let's just do sign it form dot add event listener for submit. I'm just going to use the async function. Yeah, I'm not going to be explaining so many things because I've already explained a lot of things in the sign up implementation. So now it's basically going to be like the same, but the data that we are sending for sign up is just to email address and password. So I'm just going to make this to prevent the default function of the submit. So then the next thing I want to do now is to get I'm still going to get the form data here. Form data. Okay, so now let's go back to our index.html. Where is the sign up form? Okay, so inside the sign up we have the email and the password. So this other minutes. So sorry about that. For this, since we don't have a separate file for the sign up, everything, the sign up form and the sign in form, they're inside the same index.html. Okay, so the idea I'm going to be giving to this email, so that it will not be conflicting with the idea of the words of this guy that is here. I'm going to set another ID for this, so he can just basically, I'm not going to use the same ID, so I'm just going to use sign in underscore email. Then I'm going to use this one as what ID of sign in, sorry about that, sign in. Am I writing the correct thing? Sign in. Okay, I'm missing an N here. So sign in underscore password. Okay, then probably I still need this guy, so let me give this an ID of login. Oh, I think login will be even better self instead of this signing. So let me just change these guys to login. Yeah, login email, login password, and login button thereabouts. So let's go back here. So I'm just going to say const login email input input is going to be document. What's your problem? Document dot get element by ID of that's a login underscore email. Then const login password input is this guy. Yeah, sweet. Okay, let me just collect that login button too. Login button is equal to this guy. So although it's not part of the form data, okay, this login button is not part of the form data, but I want to use it just the same way I actually did something here. Okay, so let me just move it outside so that I can actually what. So when you click on login, so I just want to do login button dot inner HTML to be equal to, let me just put the same loading dot. Sweet. So now I can now say const form data is equal to, it has to be an object, so I'm sending email to be this and the password to be this guy. So the next thing I want to do is just to make the fetch call to the what, to the login what endpoint. So for this one, oh, I'm actually supposed, oh, I'm still going to use this guy. Let me put it outside this function because what I actually declared it inside this inside this add event listener is only available inside this scope. Okay, I want it to be available in this other place too, the base URL. So now I'm just going to use a try catch, so you can just catch the error for me. I'm too lazy to type, so I'm just going to copy this guy and paste it here. Sweet. Okay, sorry. So the same thing, it's just practically the same thing. It's just the same. I'm just going to copy these guys here. Too lazy to type. Then I'm going to make some adjustments. So for this now, I'm making an API fetch request to the backend API, but this time the endpoint is not create, the endpoint is login, right? It's still a post request. It's still taking an header type of JSON application slash JSON. Then it's taking a body, which is a JSON of I'm just going to stringify this object so that it can be in JSON object. Now I'm collecting the data. Then in this case, the data is actually different. So let me comment this guy out for now. So yeah, so we can just see what the data is. I hope that is clear. You can see it's not entirely different thing. It's still the same thing, but in this case, we are just sending what two data, which is the email and password. That we are trying to see what the response that will be gotten back when we send this request. So let's go back to this guy. Let's just need to go back here. What's your problem, guy? Okay, let me just refresh this guy, then sign in. So now you have to be, if I try to use an email address that is not okay, let me just use a valid email address first. So you can see we got this message that says what, login successful, and we have the generated token, which is actually correct. So let's see if you try to use an email address that is not there. So let me just tweak this email address a little bit. So this guy is still showing loading. We have what invalid what email address or password. Sweet. So I need to actually change this guy. So our message that is there is what login successful with the capital L. It has to be what you have to be careful with the way you write this. So I'm going to comment this guy back. So the kind of message we are expecting here is what login, and my successful is capital uppercase. So it has to be like the same thing as what you are saying here. Okay, so we have login successful. Yeah, login successful. So if the data.message is login successful, we want to set a timeout, just load the products page. Then else we just want to alert the message. Then what we want to change back the login button to, we wanted to change the login button as HTML back to what to submit. I think it's submit they were using now. Let me load this page. Yeah, it's submit. So let's try that again. So let's try to use an email of someone that is not registered or something. So you can see we have the word invalid email or password. If you press OK, this is going to change back to submit. It's just a minute. So sorry about that. So there you have it. So let's try to use the email that of someone that is being registered before. If I click on submit, it's still showing loading. Then voila, it has loaded the product page because what login was actually successful. Okay, so any question, please? Is there any question? So we are through with the login, the sign up and the login aspect of our app. So please, is there any question from those that are in the in-call message? If you have a question, if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, you can just drop any of your question in the comment box. I think I will have to round up this section here because I need to go and attend something, and we are going to complete the other one where we have to create where we are adding a new product, editing a new product, deleting product. I think this guy that is there, we can actually update a product created by that particular user and the likes of them. Okay, so at this point I would like to say a big thank you to everyone that joined this call, and I hope to see you on the next one. Please hold on.